Good morning, Oak Crest Baptist Church. Good morning. Okay, all right. First report. Uh, Overnight, we had 317 new virus cases. Then we had 4 to die overnight with this virus in Memphis and Shelby County now. This is not Tennessee. This is Memphis and Shelby County. So it's still heavily upon us. Now, I was shamed for something that I did. Next door, just the yard, the grounds join right here to the Olivers. They had a surprise graduation reception party for Allie. And they pulled it off pretty good too. Well prepared. Uh, she was surprised up until the very last moment. So this is big, keep it surprise around here anywhere. And anyway, um, all of the relatives, close relatives, all her aunts and uncles and first cousins, they were all there. And so there, it was an immediate family thing, surprise, okay. I was invited if I could come, and I drove a little Volvo, just drove it across the yard, parked it in the yard, and everyone was outside, and I guess half of the people that were coming were already there, and they were all outside and had tables and chairs and everything. And I was a little, something about, I was a little bit hot and so forth and sweating. I just asked for a rag. And so I was invited to come into the house where it was cool. So I went in and sat down in a chair here. Brother Rodney sat in his chair there. And there we were, had our cold drinks and a cold rag and so forth. Turned the fan on. I was comfortable. Now, they were still, a lot of the food's already ready, but they were still preparing stuff. And then they said snacks, that kind of stuff. Well, my snacks ran into 2 pounds on the scales this morning, but I certainly did enjoy it. I didn't eat the sweets. I didn't have room for one thing. But anyway, I ate, enjoyed that, and Adam, his wife, sat in the sofa over here. Brother Rodney and I were here. A little while later, Brother Kent Bryan came, brought a little basket, whatever you call that thing, with that little darling Sonny, and set him there where he could be seen by us. He was sleeping pretty good too. And then people were coming in, getting their food, going out, and so forth. All right. I enjoyed it. Didn't get to talk to everybody, but most everybody came in to the room, like Sister Debbie and Sister Judy and Sister Angie, different ones that when they would come in, they all came into the room where the food was, and they all spoke to me across the room there. It was quite nice. Everyone had their masks on except I didn't, and first I never thought about it. I was just there for a few minutes, time to get fat, eat, and then Brother Greg and Brother Nick walked me out to the car, and he had a little mechanic gift he had ordered for Father's Day, and he took that time to give it to me. And I took my time to tell them about the car, and they need to drive it whenever they can. And I said, okay, so you just drive it on back. So it's out here. But anyway, I said, just tell everybody bye for me. And I came on without going around trying to see everybody. But it was real nice seeing everybody. And some was at quite a distance, never spoke. And some, uh, like, uh, like J. Oliver Jacob, and he sat on the porch there and waved at me, and I put the thumb up for him. It was, all this was good. And of course, uh, Sasha and let's see, and Olive, they wanted to, and I got to see them. Okay, all right. So this morning, then I've said, you're not supposed to go anywhere. Uh, and and you said if you did go somewhere, and I did say that I would, if I went out anywhere, I'd wear a mask. But I didn't consider being on the ground sure going out for first, and I just never thought about it. Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize. Uh, now, so I was saying, were you ready to go anywhere and have church service? No, I'm not. Now I anticipate a few more people feeling they have liberty to come be in the dining hall for the Lord's Day services. We've had as much as 10 people and now a few Lord's Days now passed, and it's been our experience. And this, you got a lot of tables, and they get at a distance. And Brother Bill's across the room here, and he started out in the church building, but that's not working. And so he's teaching right here online, but also those that are here get to amen and watch and hear and so forth. And they really like that. I anticipate a few more people feel liberty to come. That'll be okay. They are, they get numbers, what they say is allowed or what is recommended and so forth. But I am not ready to use the church auditorium. It's my opinion. Y'all may override me and change it. But my opinion is when we go back to the church services, be no mask. It'll be something with this pandemic will be to the point that we will not even feel necessary to wear any mask, and we'll get together to worship, run, shout, testify, preach. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for it to be the biggest day of the whole year. And I don't want to do it with people sitting over yonder and over here with the mask on, and you can't tell what they're saying through the mask, and it's mumbling to most of us. I'm looking for when we can speak in an audible tone that's understood by everyone, and we can shout and sing. That's what I expect. So if you want to know my position, that's my position. I apologize for walking over, or I actually drove across the ground there part. But I didn't intend to create an incident. And but this is we don't want anybody sick. We don't want anybody getting the virus and taking it around. We don't want that. We've got too many. Two is too many, but we got more than two. That health-wise, if they were to get this virus, it'd be quite deadly. Very difficult to keep them alive for a whole week. So we still want to be protective. We really want to be protective. Now, some places, and they've talked to me about this, what they're doing, In some places, they're getting together with a few people wearing their masks, and they're happy to have church. Well, that's the closest to having church they can have. So I say yes, we're glad for you. Uh, Not everybody has the ability or the uh, people to make it work to have online every day. So then I'm on, so far, we've not missed because of weather, we're not missed because of different things. Last night, I think I was more dreaming than daydreaming, in between wherever you are, that we took the bucket truck. It's been a couple of years back, we did a lot of tree trimming on the big oak in the front yard of Brother Spicer. And it was more than I could handle. Uh, it was just more than I can handle. And then a lot of work, a lot of groundwork. We had a lot of kids helping and so forth. But after about 5 minutes on the ground, I'd have to lay down. This was 2 years ago. I think I may be in a little better shape, but I still can't do the groundwork. So I dreamed and thought about it. Brother Spicer's neighbor, driveway right there on the other side of the tree, had given him permission 2 years ago to use his driveway and put the truck in there and work on that tree. And because he feels safer because those stems come out over his place. Now, I was dreaming this, okay? But we started in the morning, early morning hours, and started in the morning. Was there working. Had rope it over so that the fellows could catch the limbs, keep them falling on the house, and let them down, so forth. All that was working. Our 11 o'clock hour came around while I was doing this, because I've not been doing almost anything, just about nothing in the mornings because of being ready for the 11 o'clock hour. So there we were working in the tree, in the bucket, and we got somebody with their camera, whatever you call it, and they're filming and listening, and I'm preaching from the bucket for the 11 o'clock hour, and I'm preaching it. And then they're taking it like they can. They got good abilities here, and putting it on as a show you what's going on, and a little bit of fellowship preaching from the bucket truck, and then have some of the also recorded singers and so forth, and that would be our 11 o'clock hour. Now that just might come to pass. I dreamed that last night. It just may come to pass. But the point is, so far, every day at 11, we've been here. And when we were, before the pandemic thing hit, we would meet here at 12 o'clock. And we had 12 o'clock, we called it noon prayer time, and we'd have requests for prayer, thanksgivings, and then we'd have prayer time. And so then, with the busyness of everybody and the busyness of the day, the needs, then we started out here at 11 o'clock, and it's worked out fine. When we complete our time, only once I think it's gone past noon, but several times it's not gone past 12:30. That's fine. I'm not normally long-winded, and we have X number of chats and so forth. So the point is, as long as we can have the 11 o'clock time and have limited access or limited, they call it domestic, or no, they call it, what do they call it? Anyway, they want you to be, keep a distance, safe, and all that. Social distancing, I think that's what they're calling it. But anyway, we want it to be safe. And I don't want to, we got some, and even one of the big announcers saying nobody should wear a mask. It's not necessary. That's not right. I do not believe that's right. Whatever data he's looking at, fine with him. But the data I'm looking at is not fine with me. So considering all these things, that's where we are. That's exactly where we are. Now let's look at some chats, okay? And you know, it was a real big graduation party. That was very elegant, very surprised, very big. All right. There's pray for Rick and Brian as they work on the work van for safety and success. They're replacing the lower ball joints, upper ball joint. Big job. It's a big job. And but they saved about $300 at the shop by doing this. So, oh, Lord help them. And safeties. Oh, absolutely safeties. And like Sister says, and success. They want the job completed, okay? So they have that work vehicle going to the job now would not only drive good, will be safe. All right. And what else we got? For Thanksgiving or prayer requests. I mentioned yesterday that Brother John Paul and Sister Vanessa sent 4 pictures, photos. I guess they did it with their phone. I'm not sure how they do that. But the neighboring farm, and there we seen Brother John Paul make 2 trips, and the 2 pictures with long, huge bamboo, and resting on his shoulder behind his neck and holding them and walking across it. And the field there, and pasture, most of the pasture, some of it's rice, walking across is their neighbors. Text to ask. And the tree line is where their boundary is. I'm hoping that some of those trees belong to them. One of them looked like fruits. Trees are fruit anyway. And but anyway, they're putting the bamboos. I don't know if they're through yet, but they got several of them laying down for their boundary line. I don't know if they're going to put posts with bamboo posts and raise them up like a fence, or just leave them on the ground. Don't know about that. But they have planted some greens themselves, but they've got a lot of, I guess you could say, wild growing up themselves from former crops of certain greens that they have been living off of. It's been their food supply, and for several days now. So they're thanking the Lord for it. We do too. And so anyway, we're so proud for them. Now, being a landowner and his sufficiency, and he's, the 2 of them together, especially the 2 of them, they have been quite good raising with chickens and those kind of things. So went to the bank. The bank said, yes, you're in good standing. They loaned him. He borrowed. This is his that he borrowed enough money to build the chicken coop place for raising the chickens. Some for the planting of some things they want to plant, and then some for building a hut. And in the hut, one of the things I've seen them use the hut for is having some preaching services and youth preaching services and so forth. So I'm assuming that when they get that hut built, they'll enjoy having church on that farmland. Anyway, this is what he's done with the money that he's borrowed. And his anticipation is some of the things he's doing will be a crop value. And by having a crop value, he can take that money to make payments at the bank. And I think already he's got his first payment due this week, and he said he's prepared to pay that. That is industrial, and it's big, and it's good, and we're real proud. It's the kind of thing that our heavenly friend, Dr. Keyson, wanted the fellows when they would start a church, they would get enough land, enough ground, they could plant some trees or maybe some crops, and to have an income, a certain amount of income for the church. And so this is real good. He's headed in the right direction. He's going to need help in a lot of things, but he still is headed in a good direction. You have to be real proud, Brother John Paul, for that. All right. Brother Chandler said, I have another quiz today. And this is one he can't retake. So he has to make a good grade the first time. And yes, and that's what we pray. That's what we pray. That your mind will be so alert, your thinking, your reviewing things will be so good that when you take this test, you'll just be right on the top A again, okay? We desire that for our friend. Okay, thank the Lord. Got another photo today of Dr. Lambuel, Pastor Nard, Sister Christie's older son of the two boys, both fine boys. And several years back, now I can't even tell you how many years now, but a bunch of years back, Pastor Nard's being a pastor and in the ministry all these years and teaching taught at the school there for a lot of these preachers and well known and so forth. But a lot of those fellows, they want their sons to be ministers. That's a good desire. It's better when it's the son's desire, okay? And so when it was Lambuel, and Pastor Nard was giving him certain things to do in the church there, and and he said, Dad, I don't want to go to the preacher school in town in Tarlock. I don't want to do that. It was disappointing to Pastor Nard. I'm just telling you, that's how he expressed it to me. He said, I want to be a doctor. He said, especially with children who need a physician. And so when Pastor Nard spoke to me, he spoke to me that. He spoke with disappointment. I said, look, this is wonderful. That it's in his mind and in his heart what he's talking about is a wonderful ministry. And anyway, I encouraged it. And when Brother Pastor Nards, when it came through to him, this is what God has put on my son. That means it's a good thing. And once he crossed that barrier, it didn't take him long, but when he did, then he was proud to help send him to the school. Very expensive to go to a doctor's school and become a physician. Everything about it was expensive. It was looked impossible, but the Lord provided, and provided each step along the way for what was needed and necessary. So they supported their son like you expect them to do, and he's gone all these years to become the best physician that he could be, and with this is a lot of experience. I think we call it ER, the emergency room, but anyway. But he worked it was part of his task, but also had a little bit of money involved where a little bit of expense for food and things like that, extra things. But anyway, regardless, so he had the experience, and now he's got everything there is about becoming an accredited MD. And so Sister Christy sent me another photo today of just him as a graduate doctor, and he had that mature look, almost like afraid to smile, a very mature look, and he does look mature. And I'm telling you, he is a good doctor, but the future is still ripe and much to be had and seen with our Dr. Lamuel. All right. I've had difficulty ever since I've known Pastor Nards back in the 90s. I've had difficult. That's not saying much about me, about anybody's name. And a lot of people will tell you, especially a lot of our Filipino family and friends, that I have difficult time how I pronounce names, okay? So Brother Pastor Nards' name, I can say Leonardo easily. But his last name is, the malaria sickness that you get from the mosquito bites, and this medicine that our president took a full course of prescription of it, and he was recommended it because it was working. It showed good success for many people that were getting the virus. Hydrochloroquine, however you pronounce that. But it was something that for maybe 7 decades now, it had been used and prescribed for people that had malaria. Very safe in any doctors, in any facilities, in any state that has prohibited this to be used and for doctors to prescribe it is a sin. But nonetheless, every time I tried to say Brother Pastor Nards' last name, it sounded like I was saying malaria, like a disease, and that's not that's not it. So I try to not do it. I try not to say it too much because I don't pronounce it right, okay? But I can say Brother Lemuel's, Dr. Lemuel's first name, Lemuel. All right. And so we thank the Lord for him and all the success and the good things that God's doing there. Thank the Lord for it. Okay. All right, we got any more chats coming in? We got so much work going on. We're not having too many chats. And Brother Jason and the boys are out doing their Saturday normal, making a living, working hard, mowing yards. God bless them every minute for their safeties, more than all their safeties. My, I desire that more than anything else, safeties. And then, and of course, Gatchalians and Brother Rick have taken on that task of repairing that van. Brother Jim's been working on his truck every day for a few days, and I don't know how he's doing today. I sure do. We all want success for that, for his work truck. And yes, Sister Kathy, we love you. All right, we got a lot of twos. Thank the Lord for twos. We almost have the most any two that any of our shade tree mechanics want to work on their vehicles like today. Some tools that are accessible and that do the job. Thank the Lord for that. Thank the Lord for tools. Thank the Lord for thank the Lord. Thank the Lord for toolboxes. And thank the Lord for a trailer that's filled with such items. And so thank the Lord for all that. Then the tent out here, and we have a few things there in tables. Some of our old tables we used to have in here. You made work tables there. We have Brother Jim said it's running, his truck is running. Pray that my work holds up and that I didn't damage it too bad. And that's what we do pray. That's what we do pray, that this really holds up. Yes, yes, Brother Jim. And thank the Lord, we got all these access for Tuesdays. Well, you may see the day when you dread to have any tools around here, but right now they're needed and accessible, and we give thanks for it. And after all, I don't know, when I get to be in my 90s, like Brother Spicer, I'm not sure how much help I'll be to anybody, but we hope everything will be all right, okay? Yes, 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 yes. And our fellows are, we had Brother Rodney, he's full retirement and got full age. So this year now, he's got it started out early, and he's in full retirement with his Social Security monies that he's been paying in his whole life. And then we've got maybe two more people that won't be too far in the near future that they were most probable. It's most probable that they will also file for their retirement and draw on Social Security they've been paying in all their lives. When you pass 60 years of age somewhere in there, and you've been paying all your life, taxes, Social Security taxes, all your life, then this was set up, with President Roosevelt back during things got so bad where there was loss of job, income, and everything all across America. And anyway, and they set up the Social Security program for the purpose of you. And then over the years, that he was a Democrat, okay, but over the years, the Democrat Congress have passed laws to take money from your Social Security that you've been paying in for your future. Taking it, they started out in the early 60s. Actually started out in 60 and maybe in 59, maybe certainly in 60. I remember I was temporarily employed here in Memphis with Memphis Equipment Company, and they have a building next door to the shop building. And in that building, there was an attorney at his office. Now, he was bookkeeper for the company. He was the attorney for the company. And then he had his own attorney work, and that was his office. And I was called in. He spoke to me the very first thing. He said, "I need you to sign something." And he said, what this is giving permission to take $1 out of your salary, each paycheck, and give to the unwed mothers. And this was, this lasted about a year, and then the Congress passed a law that they would take money from our Social Security and give it to the unwed mothers. That's how it started. So then Social Security has been abused, money that should be yours now. And it's been abused by I'm sad to say, I come from a Democrat community, Democrat home, but sad to say, congressional Democrats have stolen your money and used it, and how we usually say that in country terms, they were buying votes. They would give that money to these people and these people, but these people, because they gave it to them, would vote for them. So the Democrats have been buying votes for years. So then if you get to be retirement age, don't you feel intimidated by anybody? You worked for it, and it was designed for you. And anybody that abuses that is wicked. But you're not abusing it. It was made for you. It started out for you. So then when you get to retirement age, you just retire. And that's just the way that is. Okay. Now we got a little bit of retirement talk. We got our help for our friends. And how about I just got through reading Mark this time, and finished Matthew, now finished Mark. And so there's something in the scriptures about Mark, and that's, you've got to have a little bit of Bible here. And it's on page 1060. And it is in the 10th chapter of Mark. Now, you'll read something about this in Matthew. Certainly going to read something in Luke. And I'm reading right here in verse. And let me proceed to this. It's James and John, the two brothers. The Lord called them. He surnamed them Boanerges. I'm not sure. That's not what the words I can't pronounce just right. But he says, and the meaning of the word is sounds of thunder. And I've heard a lot of religious sayings. I think it's just simply this. These fellows When they preached, it bellowed. It shook the rafters. That's what I think. But anyway, it's the two boys. It's also their mother. You find this as you read these three accounts. That wanted, that requested it. Said, I have something to ask. And she asked it directly, and then the boys asked it. And that is, Lord, when you set up your throne, if James and John, one could be on your right hand, sit there beside you in the throne. And then the Lord tells them, that it's not mine to give, but it's to them to whom it's appointed for my Father on place, okay? But it's in this passage, and that's where we get to this. So in verse number 42, the Lord said, you know that they which are accounted to rule over the Gentiles exercise lordship over them, and their great ones exercise over them. Everybody's over somebody. And he said in verse 43, but so shall it not be among you. So that if any one of you is going to be great, you be the minister. And he used himself as an example that he came to serve. The Lord came to serve. Now he is going to come to rule. He is, but he came to serve. And he says now what it is you are to serve. So then it's not to be exalted to a position, but it's to serve the ministers. Now look in Luke's Gospel 22. Luke's Gospel, I like this. I've always liked this. In Luke's Gospel 22, if I can get my pages turned for me. And it's on page 1108. In verse number 25, the kings of the Gentiles exercise lordship over them, and they that exercise authority upon them are called benefactors. I like this. Benefactors. Now, when the crowd comes to Caesarea to bear witness before the governor against Paul, and they wanted Paul killed, and they came to, and Tertullus is their spokesman, an orator, one who puts words together that sound like music, and he starts out and said, "Oh, we certainly appreciate what you do for our country," and what it was, he worked like a benefactor. That is, money and provisions, regardless of how much taxes was brought in to work out of, he would minister to the people according to monies or needs and authority. So then that's how he's looked at there. So the benefactors here. So he said, you're not benefactor. You are not benefactor. The benefactors are going to give out provisions or monies to someone or to some people. And that's what we find there, how it was set up in the days that we find Paul being arrested. So it was set up then. It was how it was set up. It's just how it was set up with the Romans that set this up. But don't worry about it. We're not trying to rule. We just minister. We're to help people. We're to help each other. We're to be a blessing. And ruling, that'll come in the reign when the Lord comes. So you don't have to worry about how to learn how to rule and do those things. It'll come natural when the time comes. Now it's minister. So it's in your heart to help someone. It's in your heart to provide for someone. It's in your heart to minister. Thought that was some good Bible today. All right, is everybody clear? It looks like our time is coming to a close. And this is Saturday. Now, I will be again at 11 tomorrow, but our worship time starts before then. Brother Bill will be here teaching at 10. We'll have some of our singers, and you know, they've been working on some new songs and putting together the singers. And so you're going to have a real big worship time online tomorrow, and just be ready for it. And it's just going to be good. And then Brother Bill, he's always like a live wire, things he's meditating on, and he's so efficient. He's got it timed to where how much time he needs, how much time it takes for this, and he fills that time up. I've always been a little bit jealous because he's always had more time than I had, and just always had more time. And of course, at the other side, I'm so proud because I don't need a lot of time, and I'm more of a short-winded, small message preacher, and let's just keep it that way. I like it better. I'd rather have a little bit that somebody remembers than a lot that nobody can remember. It's some of my idea, okay? All right, is everybody in for the day? Got all your Thanksgivings in? Okay, then I'm going to see you tomorrow. But Brother Bill, we want to start now, but the singing, you're going to like this. Some of it, I got a peek, but I couldn't hear anything. Now I'm going to get to see and hear. So I'm looking forward to that tomorrow. God bless you. Everybody stay safe. No hospital needs. No ER trips. Be so careful. I mean, be so careful. Be so careful. And so that when we get ready to worship tomorrow, everybody be in good form. Love you, everyone. See you tomorrow in Jesus' name. God bless you.